Well, always seems that news breaks on a really crazy day. Today, obviously, we have the inauguration, and then we have the announcement that Kwame Kilpatrick is receiving a commutation of a sentence. Hank is joining me right now. We've covered Kwame Kilpatrick literally since he ran for mayor back in the day. I remember interviewing him as a state rep, and at that time, actually helping him to do interviews on how to give a soundbite, et cetera. He was very friendly, helpful, and then his whole transition from state rep to mayor completely transformed. Not only him, but it really transformed the city.
It transformed the city and so many aspects of life in Detroit. And to your point, you know, we've both been in Detroit and working at Channel 4 for enough time now to remember that entire legacy of Kwame Kilpatrick. And I remember first meeting him and hearing the buzz around him. And, you know, love him or hate him, nobody can deny the fact that he is incredibly charismatic, that he absolutely knew how to turn on the charm. And I remember meeting him, you know, he was only in his early 30s and thinking, you know, this guy has a shot, because every time he walked into a room and every hand he was shaking, you could just feel the energy. There was this incredible buzz about Kwame Kilpatrick. And, you know, he certainly upset everybody in securing that position as mayor, I think at the age of 32. But, you know, obviously a short time after that, things started unfolding that got us to this point. And Karen, I remember you were very early on in the investigative part of it. I think one of the first big stories involved the elusive red navigator.
Who would have thought the purchase of a navigator would have caused so much drama? But I think at that time, there was a lot circling around about mismanagement of money and dollars on behalf of the city. And if folks don't remember, you know, he had a big entourage. He had the largest security detail ever, walked around. There was word at certain times that, you know, ate at different establishments, didn't pay bills. There was word at some point that certain businesses that had to deal with his father had to make certain donations. So we were getting these words and tips. And I know we would always check into things. And then unfortunately, there's a lot of times people are just too afraid to speak up. I'm not going to speak up against the mayor. But then the navigator broke. And that was the story where his former wife at the time, Carlita, was driving around in this big red Lincoln Navigator. And they had, there was some discrepancy on how it was paid for.
Right. It was allegedly the police chief's vehicle, then it wasn't the chief's vehicle. And it kind of snowballed. And what the interesting dynamic I remember that during that whole time was the city itself, you know, was starting to trend in the right direction from a financial perspective. You know, it was around the time when, you know, development was making its way into the city, where the Super Bowl was secured for the city. And so on one hand, it seemed like he was moving the city in the right direction, and at least there was some optimism. But on the other hand, it seemed like he was just landmine after landmine, and it went right from navigator kind of swiftly into the rumors of the alleged Manugian party, and that certainly dragged on for a few years before it really became a criminal investigation. And I know we both extensively covered the court case with Christine Beatty, and we remember, we've talked about it. Mm-hmm. That day and those text messages and the release of that. I remember being in the station when all of that was released and having to physically read through it. And it was shocking, really.
It really was shocking, because I think everyone, no matter your political party, you had a lot of love and belief in this man, because the city was transforming and you felt like there was hope. And the problem was, it was beyond. He would sometimes try to point to the media and say, you know, you're making it about the Manugian Mansion party, you're making it about an affair. We weren't. We were just holding people accountable. That's simply our job. You say something, we trust it's going to be. And when you said there was nothing going on, and then those text messages come out, which ultimately leads to him committing perjury on the stand about that situation, that's when everything just starts unraveling. And I remember when we were covering this, so many different people were brought in, and it was about, you know, obviously mismanagement of dollars, heavy-handed in terms of dealing with people. And you have to be careful on the words you choose, but a lot of people felt threatened in this city and doing business with the city. You had to do it a certain way. And when all of that started coming out and unraveling, prosecutors started using people against people, which they do in building a case. And people started speaking up finally to find out how business was run in the city of Detroit.
Do you have, I mean, there are so many, historic moments when you look back at the Kwame Kilpatrick saga. Is there one particular moment that you remember where you thought, wow, I'm witnessing something, or, I can't believe that I have this perspective as a reporter with him? Is there anything that stands out to you?
I have a couple. I remember he was speaking at the Winter Blast. And I remember the organizer at the time said, "Hey, Karen, do me a favor. If you're going to confront him, let me just cut the ribbon and get the Winter Blast going." I'm like, "I'll show respect. We'll let you Winter Blast go, but I am going to ask him some questions." And I was really manhandled at that event, really pushed aside by his security detail. I'd use the word assault because if anyone else would have done it, they would have been charged with assault. Then what was strange that day, I had met my husband for dinner up in Oakland County in a restaurant that I've never gone to. It was very strange. I was there. I was sitting there and I noticed certain people were looking at me strangely. I was like, I wonder what they're doing. And I recognized they were some of Kwame Kilpatrick's friends / detail.
Oh, some of the EP.
So I was feeling threatened. Yeah, I was. I mean, because I in the federal documents, if you pull those federal documents, my actual home at the time I lived in Berkeley, I had certain people arrive at my home, not verbally threatening, pulling into the driveway. Certain things occurred that made me feel that I could not continue to report on this story because my safety was, at risk.
Yeah, interesting.
What about you?
I remember two quick things. One was I was in federal court for the trial. Mm-hmm. We had another reporter that was kind of on the outside of it. You were covering it from different perspectives. I was in the courtroom, and I remember the day the verdict came in, and I was sitting behind him, and his shoulders just dropped. And you could just feel there was so much tension in the air. And then the guards came over and they removed anything of his, like his jewelry, his rings. And you're just sitting there watching this all come off of his body. And it's happening almost in slow motion. And you're witnessing this moment and this fall of this man. And I couldn't help but think of where he was 10 years before that, and then witnessing this. And it doesn't matter how you felt about him as a human or what he may have done. Your heart kind of broke because you're like, wow, he had some family members that were there, and you realize that at that moment it was effectively the end of his life in that moment.
And he's a father. I thought about the kids at that point.
His wife.
I can't imagine what they have been through, and we've covered that. They've been obviously pushing for his early release and being vocal. And then it led to the demise, after he was sentenced and sent off, he was, and again, various trials, because it was, he had the restitution situation. Then he had obviously the other different charges that he faced, different sentences. But, his kids were part of that. And it was really hard to see they're struggling to get their dad back. And then that led us to, because you and I talked, it was a tough sentence. Even people in the inside said, whether or not you believed or didn't believe a charge was necessary, the sentence was strong. It sent a strong message. And we wondered if he'd serve his full sentence. I didn't at that point predict president at the time, a guy named Donald Trump would become president and he would give him commute a sentence. I didn't imagine that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with Kwame, no matter how what memories I have of him from the very beginning, meeting him and thinking, wow, this guy is charismatic, to the end, where we are right now with his release expected soon. You just never know what to expect from him and from those around him. And he continually surprised us, sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. So I guess at this point, we have no idea what the future holds. The decision has been made. It's not a decision that involves anybody really in the state of Michigan. This decision was made by the president at a federal level. You just hope if he's able to move his life forward, that he's able to do something positive with his life. And of course, it doesn't matter what you think about it politically. Obviously, I'm sure this is a moment of celebration for his children and for his mother and father. It's truly incredible, and also incredible the fact, I think now, that it's a Republican president who extended this to a Democratic mayor, really. Right. In some
ways. You would think that he would have done it during the election if he was going to, but
maybe. I mean, there's so many questions about it. I know it's something that we're both digging into a lot today, and because we've been around for God, we're old, Karen.
I think we are. When they start saying, let's bring in those veterans, I'm like, oh
yeah, I'm like, who are you talking about? But it really is extraordinary, because very rarely as a journalist do you have an opportunity to see something from the very beginning and have it arc the way it has. And it's really, pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So
I think
it's fitting later today. What are you working on for later today?
Well, I was just going to say real quick, I kind of think it's fitting on this inauguration day, only in the sense that the theme has been unity, despite what political party whoever you voted for president, let's unify and let's move forward. And I think that's important for the city of Detroit, whether or not you believed in Kilpatrick, didn't believe, move forward now. Let's continue our growth. We have other things to deal with. Of course, we're reporting on this today and putting our time and energy because he was so pivotal in our city. But at the end, we have to unify. We have to move on. What am I working on? Well, we're talking a little bit about the actual sentence. What does it mean? What's the difference between a commuting a sentence, a pardon? He still owes restitution. We're talking a lot of money. So we have to keep that in mind. If he doesn't pay, or at least develop a plan where he is paying, there's a chance you go back to prison. I mean, that is part of his sentence. So we have to take a close dive on that. We've reached out to family members. They're saying at this particular time, which I understand, they don't want to talk on camera. They want his boots to be on the ground, be a free man. They'll get all together and then they'll issue a comment.
Well, they've had a few, false alarms, if you will, during the last 6 months where it looked like he was being released. And so I don't blame him. I mean, let the guy get out, let them be reunited, let them spend some time as a family. And if some point they want to talk with you on camera, I'm sure you're willing to fly to Atlanta. I'm putting that one on you.
You are? Okay. What about Peter Karmanis? I know you talked to him today.
I did. I talked with Pete. He's been a longtime supporter of Kwame Kilpatrick, and we're going to get into that. And, Pete is somebody, as you know, who is never shy about his opinions or his thoughts. And I appreciate his honesty and his bluntness. You're going to hear his reaction to it. We're also talking with Norman Yatuma. You may remember.
Oh, we remember him and all those files.
Yeah. He represented Strawberry's family in the Manoogian Mansion party case. So we're talking with him and working to get some other reaction too. So I feel like we've on this very busy election day, inaugural day. Of course, that's what so many Americans are paying attention to right now. But this is major news regarding the city of Detroit and our former mayor. So I'm happy to report that we're going to have it covered from every angle for you.
Yeah, we're still around.
We're still around, Karen Drew.
We're still around, Hank. Well,
although you're in the station and I'm sitting on my bed right now.
Is that your bed?
Yeah. Here's the view. There's the dog.
Oh, there's Eunice.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh. Eunice is hard at work. She's working her sources on this one. So
let me know. Bailey has a day off today, so I haven't even bugged him.
Well, it was good chatting with you, Karen Drew. I also remember I found today my invitation to his first State of the City in 2008.
Oh, you did?
I have it saved. Yeah, I have it. I don't know why I saved it originally, but for some reason I did. And then I didn't have it, but I found a photo.
I know, the one that you were in the paper.
No. Yeah, I saw that too. That was on sentencing day when we were interviewing Barb McQuaid. But I had a photo of one of you may remember when he ran the first time. He had those green buses, because remember he was picking people up in buses and helping to that was really a brilliant strategy. They were giving away T-shirts, remember?
Yeah, those bright T-shirts.
Green, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a new fresh look.
Yeah, it was, and I saw a photo of me and another reporter standing in front of that old bus, and I was like, God, that seems like yesterday, but it was a long time ago.
We'll leave it at that.
All right. You
See,
have a good day. I look forward to seeing
right.
your reports today, Karen Drew.
Look forward to, why are you using my full name all the time?
Because I find you to be a very
It's a short name.
official person, Karen Drew.
Always good to talk to you, Hank.
Goodbye.
Bye.